From children's programs to in-depth documentaries, SDPB sparks curiosity and lifelong learning in every South Dakotan. SDPB. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB brings South Dakotans together, telling the stories that unite small towns, big ideas, and the people who make our state shine. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. SDPB shares the voices and experiences of South Dakotans, preserving our stories, our culture, and our sense of place. SDPB, good, useful, and full of wonder.
Good morning. I'd like to welcome everybody to Joint Committee on Appropriations. I'm Representative Mike Derby, the lead co-chair this year, along with my co-chair Senator Otten. And as we do every time, we start our committee meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll lead that. Thank you. All right, thank you. Well, I'd like to welcome all of our internet listeners, South Dakota Public Broadcasting, and a reminder, please make sure your cell phones are off. And I would ask that any of you that are going to testify on these letters of intent today to please sign in. The pages can help you with that. And all questions, a reminder, all questions will go through the chair. At this time, I'd like to have the secretary please call the roll.
Senators and Representatives, Ms. Skimmons. Here. Elk. Here. Casson. Here. Moore. Here. Billhauer. Here. Carly.
Here.
Voida. Here. Jorgensen. Here. Howard. Foster. Sharda.
Here.
Mucky. Here. Zickman. Here. Colbeck.
Here.
Northrup. Lapke. Otten.
Here.
Derby.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Are there any minutes?
Mr. Chair,
Representative Sharda.
I move to approve the minutes of Thursday, March 12, 2026.
Second. We have a motion by Representative Sharda, second by Representative Colbeck. Discussion on the motion. No discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. To have the pages please introduce themselves, come up to the microphone, turn it on, give us your name, where you're from, future plans, and then also favorite hobby.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Lauren Hansen. I'm from Brookings. I go to high school in Watertown at Great Plains Lutheran High School. I plan on attending Creighton University next year for occupational therapy. I love playing volleyball and working out, so thank you.
Thank you. Glad you're here.
Hi, I'm Finn. I'm a junior from Brookings. Future plans for now are just to have fun because I am only a junior. As for hobbies, you know, when it's in season, I'm always a fan of watching an Ole Miss game.
Very good.
Hi,
Yes.
my name is Selena Valeris. I'm a junior here at T.F. Riggs High School. I plan on going to SDSU after graduating and then to the Air Force.
Oh, fantastic.
And for hobbies, I'm in Civil Air Patrol.
Well, if Senator Howard was here, I think she may be listening online, and as much as it pains me, I'll say go Jacks. And aim high. Very good. Okay, are there any introductions or personal privileges? All right. Seeing none, the goal of today is to go through the 4 letters of intent that have been posted, and I'll read the title, and then I'm going to ask for proponents and opponents and rebuttal if there is any. So I'm going to start off with the letter of intent regarding the emergency food assistance and commodity supplemental food programs. Representative Mucky. Welcome, and please identify yourself.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the Joint Committee on Appropriations, Representative Eric Mucky, District 15, downtown North Central Sioux Falls. The letter of intent in front of you is kind of a culmination of discussions around the TFAP program, so the Emergency Food Assistance Program and the Commodity Supplemental Food Program. What this letter of intent is meant to provide is data and information on those two programs dating back for the past 4 fiscal years, three fiscal years in the current, and then primarily look at then going into the December meeting, a cooperative presentation from both Department of Education and from the primary eligible recipient agency for these programs, Feeding South Dakota. Really the goal of this is meant to be an effort of kind of twofold. One, gather information on these programs so we have better language and discussion around how these programs are applied. I know we kind of got in the late end of session and we didn't have that information, but it's also a way for us as I look at this to gather more information on what the relationship is between the USDA and the Department of Education for this particular program. But most importantly, as was shared during session, the Department of Education moved into a different direction as far as how they deliver this program with a primary eligible recipient agency and then sub-agencies underneath that. And so with that change of approach, really what this is meant to accomplish is provide an avenue, not just to look at the program, but then going forward as partners between the Department of Education and Feeding South Dakota present a plan going forward to how to maximize food distribution. So meant to be a friendly discussion, meant to provide an avenue for those agencies to come to us and present data as well as a plan. So with that, Mr. Chair, I'll stand by for questions.
Thank you. Additional proponents for the letter of intent regarding the emergency food assistance and commodity supplemental food programs. Good morning.
Mr. Chairman, Jennifer Staley on behalf of Feeding South Dakota, and just want to express our thanks on their behalf for your indulgence throughout this process as we worked through it, gathered information, and definitely appreciate that the letter of intent will allow us to better understand the program and allow us to better understand how we can partner with the Department of Education to maximize food availability and distribution. So thank you for your patience and indulgence during this process.
Additional proponents. Additional proponents. Okay. And then online, seeing none. Okay, are there opponents? Are there any opponents to the letter of intent? Are there any opponents? Any opponents? Okay, seeing none, open it up for committee questions and or action. Question and or action. Representative Casson.
Yeah, I would move to pass.
Motion by Representative Casson, seconded by Senator Voida. Motion to do pass. Discussion on the motion.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think done our homework. We've talked through this a lot. I think, you know, one of the goals that a lot of us have and most of us have when we come into this body is to cut out red tape and cut out unnecessary layers of government. And this seems like a good study to see if we can't do some of that and, you know, get back to maybe some more streamlined process. So appreciate it.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the do pass motion? Seeing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Senators and Representatives, Ms. Skimmons.
Aye.
Alk.
Aye.
Casson. Moore.
Aye.
Philhauer. Carly.
Aye.
Voida. Jorgensen. Howard. Foster. Shorta.
Aye.
Mucky.
Aye.
Zickmund. Colbeck.
Aye.
Norstrup. Lapke. Otten. Derby.
Aye.
15 yeas, 3 absent.
Red Dawn Foster's aye.
16 yeas, 2 absent.
Motion do pass on the letter intent regarding the emergency food assistance and commodity supplemental food programs. Hereby passes. Thank you. Moving on, the next LOI, letter of intent regarding the temporary assistance for needy families. Proponents. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Representative Eric Mucky, downtown North Central Sioux Falls. Thanks for humoring me twice this morning. So I've got a couple letters of intent. The second is a letter of intent regarding the temporary assistance for needy families. So as we look forward based on how we approved the General Appropriations Act, what this LOI does effectively is 2 things. One is that it clarifies the specific partial restoration of reduction in cash benefits based on the amount that we approved. We approved $427,000 in general funds and $427,000 in federal fund expenditure authority. This letter of intent, along with language from the General Appropriations Act, clarifies what that would result in, which is a 5% increase in cash assistance benefits. But what this does more importantly is it opens up conversation, and I appreciate the good work, be able to partner with Commissioner Terwilliger to come to some language that matches what would help us going forward. So specifically, it calls for 5 things. A look back for the past 5 years on the total balance of all available TANF funding, spending of TANF funding, including carryover funding by expenditure category each year in the last 5 years. Planned fiscal year 27 spending of all TANF funding, including carryover funding by expenditure category, a projection of future available carryover funding, and then a narrative summary of options to manage cash assistance going forward. What the effort is meant to do is to open up a conversation about the whole picture of TANF funding that we actually have available to us at this time, how we're applying that by program, and how we manage cash assistance going forward based upon the conversations of the data that we have available to us in our July 2026 meeting. And so the intent with this is fairly straightforward in the sense of if we're going to have conversations about this going forward, let's look at the past data, and then we can look at that carefully and say how we want to use TANF funding going forward. And so with that, Mr. Chair, I'm happy to stand by for questions.
Thank you, Representative Mucky. Additional proponents for the LOI regarding the temporary assistance for needy families. Additional proponents. Are there any additional proponents? Online? Seeing no additional proponents, are there opponents? Are there any opponents? Any opponents? Seeing none. Any committee questions? Senator Carly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a question for the author of the letter. I was wondering on the 4th paragraph down, the last sentence, if you could just clarify what that means. The sentence starts with, "It is the intention of the legislature that the Department of Social Services use federal fund expenditure authority to spend TANF carryover funding for this partial restoration." Can you explain that further?
Mr. Chair, Representative Eric Mucky. So the statement there, as far as the intention of the legislature, the DSS use federal fund expenditure authority to spend TANF carryover funding. When we look at federal authority, the available funding that we have is that TANF carryover fund that's available at the federal level, and that's what that's meant to clarify.
Follow up?
This is adding some instruction to make sure and spend that, correct?
Mr. Chair, that's correct.
Additional questions? Representative Jorgensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For Representative Mucky, so do you know what's in that federal fund currently? Thank you.
Mr. Chair, my best estimate, Representative Jorgensen, at this moment in time, it's somewhere in the realm of anywhere between $19 to $21 million.
Additional questions? Any additional questions? Seeing none. Open up for action.
Do pass.
We have a motion by Senator Foster for due pass, second by Senator Miskimmons. Discussion on the motion.
No, I think he covered everything.
Okay. All right. Yes, Senator Carly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I'm going to not support this just because I don't like the idea of pressing a government agency to spend the money. Spending should come from need. So if there is need, that will be spent, and that's how DSS is currently doing it. I don't like having this sentence that's pressing them to get their money out. I've seen too many agencies before, and even in business before, or government groups, if they don't use it, they lose it, and I don't like that methodology. So, for that reason, I would not support it. I think DSS has released the funds as it's needed. I don't think we should be pressing them and dump more out.
Any further discussion on the motion? Representative Mucky.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To clarify for the committee, when we're talking about that statement of the intention of the legislature to use federal fund expenditure authority to spend TANF carryover funding, the intent is to say the amount that we appropriated to them for federal fund expenditure authority would come from that fund. That's what the clarification is meant in this case, which is something, again, when we discuss this, one of the things that's important to state here is this is something that I have communicated with Bureau of Finance and Management as well, DSS, to make sure that we're clear, and that was the clarity we saw it. And so I just want to make sure I clarified that statement.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, do we have a due motion on the letter of intent regarding the temporary assistance for needy families? Secretary, call a roll.
Senators and Representatives, Ms. Gibbons.
Aye.
Elk.
Aye.
Casson. Moore.
Aye.
Billhauer. Carly.
No.
Voida. Jorgensen.
Aye.
Howard. Foster. Sharda.
Aye.
Mucky.
Aye.
Zickman. Colbeck.
Aye.
Northrup.
Aye.
Lapke.
Aye.
Otten.
Aye.
Derby.
Aye.
15 yeas, 2 nays, 1 absent.
The due pass motion for the letter of intent regarding the temporary assistance for needy families hereby passes. The next LOI is regarding school finance accountability. Proponents, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. Representative Terry Jorgensen, District 29. And basically what this does is it affects schools that don't get state funding, that they would, let me go back a little bit. What happened is when I was listening to the School Accountability Committee, it became apparent that some of these schools that don't get state funding have large cash balances. And so basically what this would do is encourage BFM to, or Department of Education to come alongside these schools and help them with a plan going forward so that they could reduce their cash balances. So that's what the intent of this letter is.
Thank you. Additional proponents for the LOI regarding school finance accountability. Any additional proponents? Online? Seeing none, are there any opponents? Are there any opponents? Any opponents for the LOI regarding school finance accountability online? Okay, well, seeing none, questions from the committee? Are there any questions from the committee? Seeing none. Representative Casson.
I move due pass.
We have a motion by Representative Casson, second by Representative Mucky for due pass. Discussion on the motion.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I was proud of our work group that was related to HB 1249, and we set out to do that work group. We stated our goal was we were going to look at the schools that do receive state aid. The next part, if we start another work group and do this, will be to look at the schools that don't receive state aid. I commend the good representative for bringing this forward to get the ball rolling on the schools that don't receive state aid. I think there's work left to be done there, and I think we're willing to take that up if we get the opportunity next session. So I think this is a good first step. I think we're moving in the right direction. Again, I commend the good representative for bringing this, and I'd encourage you to do pass.
Thank you. Further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we have a due pass motion on the letter of intent regarding school finance accountability. Secretary, call the roll.
Senators and Representatives, Ms. Gibbons.
Aye.
Elk.
Aye.
Casson. Moore.
Aye.
Billhauer. Carly.
Aye.
Voida. Jorgensen.
Aye.
Howard. Foster.
Aye.
Sharda.
Aye.
Mucky.
Aye.
Zickman. Colbeck.
Aye.
Northrup. Lapke.
Aye.
Otten. Derby.
Aye.
16 yeas, 2 absent.
Motion due pass for the letter of intent regarding school finance accountability hereby passes. Okay, we have one letter of intent left. It is in regarding Senate Bill 130, special appropriation. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, and the extremely good members of the Appropriations Committee. It's been my honor to be a part of this group this year. I believe we have accomplished a lot of good things for the state of South Dakota and its people. Today, I'm bringing you a letter of intent
Could you
regarding
please
SB
identify
130's
yourself?
special appropriation,
Did he identify himself?
which basically what this amounts to is that we appropriated $8 million in general funds to the South Dakota Ellsworth Development Authority for the purpose of funding public roadway and related infrastructure improvements required because of the construction activity occurring on the Ellsworth Air Force Base. This letter of intent was sent to all entities involved, and the letter goes on to say that these funds must be used for public roadway and related infrastructure improvements necessary to support, mitigate, and address impacts from construction activity occurring at Ellsworth Air Force Base. The funding is contingent upon a statement from Rapid City, Box Elder, Pennington County, and Meade County to provide for all future maintenance and repair of the roads and infrastructure associated with this project, as well as any cost in excess of the funded provided by SB 130 for improvements made within their respective jurisdictions. The reason I brought this letter of intent, because with my experience on appropriations the last few years, we've had some road constructions that we have approved, and the people would come back the following year or 2 years later and ask for more money because of extending the road a mile, whatever it might be. And therefore, with this letter of intent, the $8 million that we appropriated would be the final cost to this committee and the final cost to the state of South Dakota on any overrides that may occur. The South Dakota Ellsworth Authority and all entities approved of this letter of intent. So I ask for your approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Colbeck. Thank you. Additional proponents. Additional proponents. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Rob Tim. I'm the guy that the chair is breaking, I guess, but I'm the Government Affairs Director for the City of Box Elder and also their registered lobbyist. I'm just here today to express our appreciation for this body as well as the Senate and the House. When you with the votes that happened here at 18-0 and 32-0 in the Senate and 65-2 in the House, that sends a clear message in my book. Also, one of the interesting things about this whole process is that we formed a coalition of 4 different governmental entities, 2 counties and 2 cities, and so it's hard enough for one governmental entity to sit down and try to hash things out, try to get 4 together to try to figure it out, and we did it. So we appreciate that. With 18 different roadway segments, we've got work to do, but we appreciate what this body and what this legislature has done to help support what's happening around Ellsworth Air Force Base. With the recent potential 25% increase in production of the B-21 bomber and the announcement of the first bomber to show up next year, we are excited. You come to Box Elder, come to the area. We've got a lot of stuff going on and a lot of things happening. So with that in mind, Mr. Chair, all parties are excited and are grateful for this support, and will provide an acknowledgement letter as per the letter of intent once it is approved by this body. And also utilizing Ellsworth Development Authority as an excellent conduit. That's what they do for a living, and we all are very excited to start working on this project as soon as possible. I'll stand by for any questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Tim. Additional proponents for the LOI regarding Senate Bill 130, special appropriation. Are there any additional proponents? Any proponents online? Okay, seeing none. Opponents. Are there any opponents? Online? No, seeing none. Committee questions. Senator Foster.
Thank you, Chair. I did have a question. So my question is, I guess a two-part question. One, when was the bid submitted? Like, what was the date on the bid?
Can you say,
The bid date?
the bid? We have not received bids. These are
Okay.
actually, Mr. Chair? We did not receive bids. However, where these estimates have come through is from Pavement Condition Index, PCI. That's a standardized utilization for roadway condition index that cities and states and counties utilize to determine the condition of it, and they utilize that to make those estimates.
Thank you. The reason I asked that question is if you anticipate the conflict in Iran increasing asphalt costs or steel or fuel, anything that would affect the cost of this project.
Mr. Chair, that's an excellent question. As of lately, our asphalt costs have not, we haven't seen any changes in that. Now, will that change? We have no clue, but as of now, everything looks pretty good.
Follow up? No. Any additional questions? Senator Vilhauer.
I move to pass.
We have a motion by Senator Vilhauer, seconded by Representative Colbeck. Do pass motion. Discussion on the motion.
Just a comment in light of Senator Foster's question just now. I think it's a very prudent move to clarify who's responsible for ultimately the cost as well as the maintenance going forward. I've seen too many of these projects where down the road there's a question as to who's to maintain it, and I think this is a smart move. So I move we adopt.
Okay. Further discussion on the do pass motion? Seeing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Senators and Representatives, Ms. Skimmons.
Aye.
Elk.
Pass.
Casson. Moore. Vilhauer. Carly. Voida. Jorgensen.
Aye.
Howard. Foster.
Aye.
Sharda.
Aye.
Mucky.
Aye.
Zickman. Colbeck.
Aye.
Norstrup. Lapke.
Aye.
Elk.
Aye.
Otten. Derby.
Aye.
17 yea, 1 absent.
Motion do pass for the letter of intent regarding SB 130 special appropriation hereby passes. That takes care of our work today. Is there anything else for the good of the cause? Okay, I would entertain a motion. Senator Voida.
I move we adjourn.
Second by Senator Lapke. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
SDPB brings you closer to your government. With gavel-to-gavel coverage of the South Dakota legislature and in-depth reporting from peer. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB.